About 11 years ago, I was in a car full of poets and we were headed to Atlanta, Georgia to go to a poetry show. One of our friends was featuring there. I had never performed there at that time, so I wanted to check out the scene. And one of the poets in the car said, I don't actually read poems. And in fact, he also said that, he actually went outside during open mics and didn't listen to anyone else's poetry because he didn't want to be influenced by anyone else. He wanted his voice, his poetry to be completely unique. And I think that this is like the height of arrogance. And this is not only like dismissive and rude to your contemporaries and to like the whole history of poetry, but it's also really detrimental to your own poetic craft because you're not being influenced by good poems. You're instead gonna still be influenced by, other lesser forces. If you refuse to be influenced by the art form you practice, you will instead be influenced by the stale language of cliches, by the rigid corporate speak of commercials, and like the boring rhythms of instruction manuals. If you commit yourself to an art form, whether it's poetry or anything else, it's not just about developing your own craft. It's also about developing a relationship to that craft, to the legacies and the traditions of that craft. And the same is true of novelists. If you want to write books, you must read books. If you want to evoke emotion in a reader and tell a story, you must first understand the architecture of stories. So if there's one piece of advice I have for writers, it's that I implore you to read. Read as often as you can. Read at least as often as you write. To spend time inside of other people's stories or poems will open up new possibilities of narrative and language.